Hello YouTube, this is a February 2019 Fire Fist deck profile for Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely a classic deck here, nostalgic to play with it, always fun. Definitely not at its strongest, not at its peak, because I believe 2014 was the year that Fire Fist did the best in tournaments, but always a throwback to play with this deck, so I hope you enjoy the video. We start off with triple Gorilla and also triple Bear. These are the cards that I get confused a lot. Gorilla is the one where if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can set a Fire Formation spell or trap from the deck. And then Bear, if it inflicts battle damage, you can set a Fire Formation spell from the deck. So those are going to be probably Tenki or Tensu, but it could be Gyoko or Yoko in this build. Also, they have additional effects where with Gorilla, you can send a Fire Formation spell or trap to the grave to pop a spell or trap, and Bear is very similar. Send a Fire Formation spell or trap to the grave to instead pop a monster. So these are just your typical Yu-Gi-Oh! Effects where you just get rid of problematic cards and pop cards, whether they're spells or traps. Very similar to the crawlers. I mean, Bear pops a monster, very similar to Spine, and Gorilla pops a spell or trap, very similar to Axon. So next you got your level 4 tuner. You got Boar, triple Boar here. A few effects on this guy. If it's destroyed by battle, you can special a level 4 Fire Fist from the deck. So another way to spam out monsters. If it is destroyed by battle, it doesn't happen all the time, but cool to have that effect in addition to just being a tuner. Also, if a Fire Fist is special from the extra deck while this card is on the field, you can set a Fire Formation spell from the deck. Not going to happen too often either, because a lot of times it being a level 4 and a tuner, you're using it for the material for those extra deck summons. But it should be noted that it cannot be used as Synchro material unless the Synchro monster is a fire monster. Very similar to Spirit, which only allows you to use it as material for a Beast Warrior Synchro. So that is why I only run Fire Beast Warriors in the extra deck for my Synchro monsters. Spirit, got 3 of them here, as you can see. When it's normal summoned, I can special a level 3 fire from the graveyard with 200 or less DEF. So there is a common play I like to do with Leopard. There could be Rooster too that you're specialing with Spirit, but I like to normal my Leopard. Here's Leopard. I got 3 Leopards here. Normal the Leopard, use its own effect to tribute a Fire Fist monster, including itself. So tribute the Leopard, and then using its effect, you set a Fire Fist, Fire Formation, spell or trap from the deck. So I set my Tensu, then I activate the Tensu, and then if I had Spirit in my hand too, I need Spirit and Leopard to do this combo. I normal the Spirit using my additional normal summon with Tensu, and then resurrect my Leopard that I just tributed, and then I go into a rank 3 or a level 6 Synchro, because Spirit is a tuner, or a Doolittle Chimera. All of those will do. Just a good way to get extra deck monsters onto the field. Then I splashed in a playset of Reborn Tengu here. I believe a lot of people know this card. If it leaves the field, you can special a Reborn Tengu from the deck. So you can't use that effect if you're using it for XYZ material. Also, because of the restrictions of most of the Synchros, or actually all the Synchros in this extra deck, you can't use this card as Synchro material to make those specific Synchros. But obviously, if it's used for link material, you can get that effect. So I thought I'd splash it in here because it is a Beast Warrior, and you can search it with Tenki, use an additional normal summon with Tensu on Reborn Tengu. So we got double Rooster. This is another level 3 here that has similar effect to Bear and Gorilla, because you can send a Fire Formation spell or trap to the grave, and instead of popping anything, you just set another Fire Formation spell or trap, so you're just trading in one for another. Also, if it's special summoned by the effect of a Fire Fist monster, so that's probably going to be Horse Prince that you're using to get this effect, you can add a Fire Fist from deck to hand. I thought it'd include 2 Rooster. It's probably not the best Fire Fist, but it is the secret rare that I have here, so I do like it a lot, and the artwork is really nice. So 1 Coach Soldier Wolfbark. I see a lot of people using this card in Fire Fist decks because it does fit in so well. It's a Fire Beast Warrior, and it works well with other Fire Beast Warriors. You can target a level 4 Fire Beast Warrior in your graveyard and special summon it using this Ignition effect, and its effects are negated. So obviously you would be using those cards for the card that you resurrected for extra deck material. And then for the spells, We have triple Tenki and triple Tensu. Just more basic Yu-Gi-Oh effects here. I mean, Tenki gets you a search, and Tensu gives you an additional normal summon. Pretty much, I mean, it's a normal summon, it's not a special summon, so it's different from Vega. It's a Telenite Vega, but I do compare it to Vega, and I compare this to Deneb. Like I said, a lot of these Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes just have these very basic and standard Yu-Gi-Oh effects that find their way into pretty much every archetype. And they both have the continuous effect of giving all your Beast Warriors 100 ATK. So there's that. There's an additional boost to your to your bears and gorillas if you want to leave them on the field as beaters. So we got a Gyoko and a Yoko. These cards have been power crept, but they are fire formation spells that give an additional 100 ATK, so I included them. And of course, you can send them to the grave using whatever effects you're using of the monsters. Gyoko, you can target a set spell or trap your opponent controls. That set spell or trap can't be activated in response to Gyoko, and it also can't be activated while Gyoko is on the field. So there are better spells that are just generic, like Night Beam is one that comes to mind. I mean, you can't activate anything in response to Night Beam, and it'll pop it instead of just not letting it be activated. But Gyoko, like I said, is a fire formation spell. And Yoko, you can discard a Beast Warrior to pop a face-up card your opponent controls. Like I said, a lot of cards probably do a better job of that effect, but I thought I'd include them to be thematic. Then we got Triple Pot of Duality. If you want to normal summon a lot using Tensu, you probably don't need to special summon every turn, and Pot of Duality helps you dig for the specific fire formation spells and traps that you need. And then we got the probably the best spell in the deck. We got a Rekindling, limited for a reason, because you can special summon from your grave as many fire monsters with 200 DEF as possible, and then banish them at the end phase. Obviously, you're going to use them as material before they get banished. A lot of crazy plays that you can do, and this is the card that really turns the game around because you get so much advantage from it. We got a Monster Reborn, just another extender. Make your Link and XYZ and Synchro plays if you're lacking one monster. We got a Forbidden Chalice because this is a budget deck, and this is kind of a replacement for something like Impermanence or even Effect Veiler, which I believe is a little bit more pricey than Forbidden Chalice. And then we got a Dark Hole, no Raigeki because, like I said, this is budget. And then finally, the last spell, I decided to splash something in here. I altered the extra deck a little bit to accommodate this card. It's Scapegoat. Because I do want to save my Fire Fist monsters and my main deck monsters for the material for XYZs and Synchros, but I can only have one of those, obviously with Master Rule 4, so I thought I'd put Scapegoat because it's kind of a good fit to just get your Link monster on the field before you use any of your actual materials and not just tokens to make that Link monster. Then for the traps, I have one Tensen and one Tenkin. Tensen is the one, and again, these cards I get confused too, but Tensen is the one that gives 1,000 ATK to a Beast Warrior. It gives 700 until the end phase, and then it gives a continuous 300 to all your Beast Warriors. 700 to one, and then 300 to all of them. And then Tenkin is the one that makes it so the effects of your Beast Warrior that you target with Tenkin are negated, but it's also unaffected by all of the cards besides this card. And it, of course, gives that additional 300 ATK. So just more targets for Bear and Rooster and Gorilla to send to the grave. And just decent effects. I mean, if you want to get over your opponent's monster, you have Tensen to give, like I said, a total of 1,000 ATK. And Tenkin can be a defensive card, too. So the last card is Call of the Haunted, just one more extender. Of course, it's slower than Monster Reborn, but we can only have one Monster Reborn. So I have Call of the Haunted in here because a lot of times you don't have enough materials to go into your extra deck plays. So for the extra deck, start off with double Tiger King. Tiger King has a lot of effects, so I'll just read it. You can set, when this card is XYZ summoned, you can set a fire formation spell or trap from the deck. Also, once per turn, you can detach an XYZ material. This is not a quick effect, by the way. You can negate all the effects of face-up effect monsters on the field except for Beast Warrior, so that will hurt your opponent because, I mean, most of the time you're going to be playing Beast Warriors and they're not. Also, When this card is sent from field to grave, you can send 3 fire formation spells or traps that you control, and then special summon 2 level 4 or lower beast warriors with the same ATK from your deck in face-up defense. So you can use that effect to special summon 2 roosters, and then one of those roosters will get a search effect to add from Fire Fist from deck to hand. Tiger King is a pretty solid card because you can negate effects. And a lot of times if your opponent is using cards with monsters with graveyard effects, you can negate them and then get them into the grave, and they won't have those effects. But obviously it's not a quick effect like I said, so it probably has been power crept too, but it is the Fire Fist monster of choice here. Also can be played in non-Fire Fist decks because it only requires 2 level 4 Beast Warrior type monsters. We have one Cardinal, which is the more specific, requiring 2 level 4 Fire Fist monsters. Detach 2 XYZ materials from this card, then target 2 Fire Fist or Fire Formation cards in your graveyard or face up on your face up on your side of the field, and then 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard or face up side of the field, face up on their side of the field, and then shuffle those into the deck. So with Fire Formation spells and traps, it's not a problem to send them back to the deck. It's not too hard to do that because they're face up on the field, because I mean you have them on the field already, so easy targets for Cardinal. And of course shuffling two monsters or two problematic face up floodgates or anything like that that your opponent controls, shuffling those back into the deck, that's a pretty solid effect. So I like Cardinal a lot, and the artwork on these cards are just super cool. You got these secret rares here. And to keep going, the last XCs is Grenosaurus. Not everyone would play Grenosaurus in a Fire Fist deck, but it is fire, so you can use it for Doolittle Chimera, and it is a rank 3. I don't have the rank 3 Fire Fist monster, but I actually don't like that card too much. I prefer Grenosaurus because it at least does some burn damage, and like I said, it is fire for your Doolittle Chimera play. Then for the Synchros, we have one Vulcan the Divine. It is a Fire Beast Warrior, so it's perfect for using Spirit as the tuner. Just returns 2 cards, one on each side of the field, to the hand. So not too bad if you're using Fire Formation spells and traps. You want to get those back. No problem to just reuse them. Reuse your Tenki, reuse your Tensu. We have one Horse Prince, which is actually a somewhat expensive card, which I didn't realize because I believe people want it for Salamangreats now. But you can special a level 3 fire from the deck when this card is synchro summoned. So pretty cool card, Fire Fist Horse Prince. You can special that Rooster and get that search effect. Interesting choice here with Ancient Flamvel Deity. I just wanted fire cards to put into the extra deck. You have to use Boar as the material for Deity, not that other card, that other sync tuner. Forgetting the name. Wow, Spirit. You can't use Spirit because Spirit requires a Beast Warrior, but it's got a decent effect, I guess. I mean, remove from play, when this card is synchro summoned, remove from play from your opponent's graveyard up to the number of cards in their hand, and then this card gains 200 ATK for each banished card. Definitely an older card, but I thought I'd include a level 7 synchro in here because you kind of want to have one of each of the levels. And then we got the last synchro here, Kirin. Requires a fire and one or more non-tuner Fire Fist monsters. When this card is synchro summoned, you can set a Fire Formation spell or trap directly from the deck, and then all monsters your opponent controls lose 100 ATK for each face-up spell or trap you control. Obviously has been power crept. Not too strong of a card with only 2,000 ATK. More defense, 2,800 defense. But I include it because it is a Fire Fist monster. And then for the links, pretty basic stuff here. We got double Doolittle Chimera, just your fire link monster of choice here. Because I did include that Scapegoat, I do have double Link Spider and a Proxy Dragon. So these are the cards. I mean, I just make a Link Spider, then below it I make the Proxy Dragon, and then to the left or right of Proxy Dragon I make the other Link Spider. And then I use all of those as material for either Decode Talker. Obviously, I would have one Link Spider remaining if I went into Decode Talker, or Beauregard Dragon, because this is the budget deck. I have my Beauregard Dragon here, my handy dandy Beauregard Dragon. And Decode Talker is actually probably the one I'd go into because I can use its negation effect. But that's the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely enjoyed this because Fire Fist is a pretty classic deck and always fun to play with something so nostalgic. So thanks for watching and have a good one.